How's everybody doing? We're gonna start the second part of our video. So I'm shooting this little video tonight, but tomorrow we're gonna really get after it. I was just gonna show you we got some parts in. So we got like some handlebars for the 500, some bar clamps, exhaust for the 450, some rims from MTR tires, of course. We got some fork guards, we got some hardware, got some brakes. There's gonna be lots more coming in the mail, but tomorrow we're gonna get the press going. We're gonna get the lower clamp press with the stem. Then we're gonna set up the steering stops exactly where we want them. If we gotta move the tank a little bit, radiators, we'll deal with that. But yeah, we're gonna get rolling on our next video, so stay tuned. All right, today's the day. I talked to you a little bit last night. Got our new MTR gear. Thanks, Matt. We're gonna get rolling here. Lighting's kind of poor. I got an electrician coming. We're gonna put a 220 volt plug in for the welder and then probably do some stuff with the lighting, but it'll work for now. So let's get started. First steps first, we're gonna press this stem out. Notice the distance on the BVC clamp from seated to the base where the bearing goes is a little more than what it should be. So we should pick up some threads on top when we put it into our clamp. So we have this into position here. I like to use these pieces from a ball joint press. So you want to support the stem right around the hole or you'll bend the clamps. So I have a video on this on our channel, Moto Man, if you're not familiar with pressing stems. So this press is kind of cheap. You can see this kind of angled a hair, but it's done the job for many years. Anyways, check out our video, how to press a stem, if you have any questions on that. So we're going to move forward. Also, you can apply heat if needed. So not only is it thicker, you know, than our clamp because we have the recession where it seats in, but they have a boss on top of it, so you're losing some there as well. So here's a fun fact. The KX stem is essentially the same as the YZ stem. The YZ stem just has longer threads, but the rest of it is pretty much the same. You can see they went to a coarse thread on the top of the KX stem. I'm not sure if it needs a ring in here or not. It didn't have one when we took it off, so we'll just install it. But you know, these YZ stems have a ring. There is a groove. I don't think it's going to hurt anything. We'll just install it and see how it goes. Whoever pressed this in last time, not sure what they were using, but they were pressing way too hard, whatever they were doing. Every frame is designed to use certain offsets because of the rake, all kinds of reasons. All I can say is, wow, like that fork to stem offset is insane. I don't know how anybody would think that's a good idea. I mean, I've heard arguments about, you know, bringing the stem back a little bit to clearance the clamps with the radiators. And like, sure, maybe a little bit like the old VTX clamps I used to run. But you notice the difference in handling. But this is extreme. I don't know if you ever seen a TPC trike, but this clamp's about a carbon copy of a TPC trike layout. So I have my suspicions there. Anyhow, that's like, you know, it's way too narrow and the offsets are terrible. So I'm not sure there. You can see the thickness difference. I mean, that's crazy. So the KX tolerance was like 30.33 on the stem instead of 30.18. And our tolerance is like 30.12. The BVC clamp was just at 30, so I mean, that's a pretty tight fit to be pressing the stem in. You see that plate? You want to rest it, since this is an angled clamp, you want everything to be at 2.5 degrees. So you have to rest it right on the boss. So that went nice and easy. Got the bearing seated, got the stem fully seated. It's looking nice. So we'll get the bottom clamp in there, see how it looks, maybe set some steering stops. You want to use some good grease on the bearings. All right, so we need to trim some of these radiator shrouds away, and then we should be looking good. We got our shrouds marked, so we're going to pull them out, our radiator guards. This is kind of cool though. Found a bullet casing. I took the shroud off the tank. That's cool. Looks like a 300 blackout maybe. Oh yeah, 300. The stuff you find. We have this side clearance. You can see where the old clamp hit the radiator. There's not a lot of room to move these radiators back if we need to. We might have to get creative. Definitely lift the tank and then have to deal with all this. So after some razor knife work, we removed 3 louvers on each side. And then you can see about the fork's gonna start running into stuff right about there. So that's gonna be our steering radius, which is excellent, because if you put a line right here and then go all the way over, put a line right here, you're actually gonna be narrower than the stock YZ stops. So it's gonna turn further than the standard YZ conversion. Let me show you on this frame over here. See, we're gonna be right there. I actually shaved those down on mine. So then we're gonna be, you know, closer to a 3-wheeler steering radius than a dirt bike steering radius. That on top of the negative clamps, that'll add some steering radius. If you look at how all the geometry works with that. Anyhow, this thing's gonna turn just like my CRF conversion I got done and the KX conversion. Now we're gonna take this spot right here that has all this meat. We're gonna drill a little tiny hole right here. Then we're gonna add an adjustable steering stop, which is what I have on my KX and my CRF. All right, we got the bearings packed. They're beautiful looking coil bearings, so I'm gonna reuse them. They might be the factory bearings on this 2018, considering their coil. I used some high quality marine grade grease that we use in industrial industries. It's water resistant. It's just good in a lot of aspects. So it should help keep these bearings clean even when you're pressure washing. So we're gonna get that installed, get the forks, and then we can set where we're actually gonna set the steering stops. Right here you can see the steering stop that I'm talking about. We can go look at the other one as well. So that's all you do. It causes no issues and it works great. We got both of our 06 forks set. As I expected, we'd hit the gas tank there before we got critical. Which, you know, that's what happens when you run an oversized tank. This side hits the cap. So we'll set our stops when we install them just a hair past that. Then our steering radius should be good. So we're looking all right. Took quite a bit of cleaner to get these forks looking presentable. So now they're pretty good. We'll slap some DT graphics on them, put some front end stuff on, tighten the top clamp, and then we'll check that measurement we talked about. We were sitting at 25.75 inches. We gave that cap a little shave like our KX, cleaned it up with a little file, so put that back on, get the rest of our steering. It's a little low on coolant. We'll top that off before we put the cap back on. This doesn't affect the functionality of the cap at all because it's open underneath there anyways. So all we're doing is, you know, bringing it all the way back now. We gained quite a bit. There's a ½ inch there. So our steering radius here is the 22 millimeters. I drew a line when it's maxed out each way. That's where our stop would be if it was a front stop. Now our forks are also at that 22 millimeters. So we have them all the way up as far as they'll go to start out with. That's generally the rule of thumb. You're doing stuff like this. So let's see how we did here. Look at that, fits perfect. And that's 22 millimeters. So we have the same steering radius as the original YZ frame that the clamps are designed for. So that answers all those questions. When we get to the subframe section, I'm still going to raise the tank up, because if you raise the tank up right here, it's not going to change anything up front. But what it will do is it'll make this angle better where the shrouds meet. It'll look pretty good. And then, you know, if we need to catch the bottom hole, we'll just make an adapter to catch that. All right, so we got that set as tight as it'll go. It's touching the stop right now. We're at the line. It doesn't hit the radiator. Taps the tank, but that won't hurt nothing. So we're making good contact there. Let's have a nice stop. It's that easy. So this side's not done yet. We're gonna drill and tap it. And it's non-intrusive, it's in the meat there, it won't cause any structural issues. But like, we got full turnability, and that's with the wider clamps. So this thing's gonna perform. Okay, so here's a look at the hole before we're gonna put the stop in it. And then after we do that, we can put the front end together. So another reason we go with these stops is because they take a straight hit. They have a very low chance of failure. Like when you add stops on here, you know, when they put bolts for stops, like the clamps we took off, they can shear off because they're taking a side load. I don't care what rated bolt you get, but when you hit them straight on, there's no chance of failure. And by doing that, we didn't have to redesign a whole new bottom clamp. Otherwise, we'd have to machine these differently. Now, if it was like okay to build trike conversions and sell kits and whatnot, we might get that far, but this is all just for fun. All right, so we're looking good. Top clamp, bottom clamp, stem, bearings, everything installed. It's looking really nice. These bar clamps had these tapered aluminum spacers that went into the BVC triple clamp. There was no rubber in there and the tapers didn't match, so kind of sketchy. I think we're gonna pull these studs and then put the right size ones, because I mean otherwise we'll have to run the spacers. I don't really like running the spacers, so we'll see what we can do here. We didn't have a lot of hardware options for the super coarse thread. I got the two other style threads, but we're down to one spacer underneath, which will look okay. I didn't want to run this stuff because like even on the other clamps it was sticking way up. These are the Bones bar clamps that I ordered for the 500. These are Outlaw Racing. This stud that I pulled out of the Outlaw Racing looks pretty cheap. Like I trust these bolts a lot more. I run these in the YZs all the time. So we're going to swap it out to one spacer underneath so you won't notice it. And then we'll get rolling. So now we have a much sleeker look. Got those spacers. You got a couple underneath, but you won't really notice them. So digging that. Man, you can already see how much nicer it is. Looking forward to this. All right, so we're looking pretty good. We got that thing. It's angled back right now, so we'll see how it sits. Anyways, this is what we got going on now. So we got a 4on144 rim in our tire. These are the new tires for the 500. I got 20s for the rear instead of these little 18s. That should have 20s also when it's set up right. But anyhow, we're going to pull this rim out and we're going to put a 4on156 front rim in it. I don't have a tire machine at this at-home shop. I highly recommend this Vevor bead removal tool. It does wonders. All right, so we got our new A5 front wheel from MTR Tires mounted. This tire is non-directional, so I flipped it around because it was worn on one side, so now I wear the other side. The rear tires were at 9 and 10 PSI. I got them cranked down to 5. I run 5 in the rear, 7 in the front. We got it 7 in the front right now. The front was at like 15, so it's either from the elevation change or somebody had them mounted and then never aired them down. Both the rear hubs are loose, so we're gonna have to tighten those up, but we'll get to that when we do the swing arm. We're gonna continue on the front end. Okay, so I put a putty knife on each side, just lightly tap them in. Tolerances are tight because I don't want anything to move. When the axle's all the way in, it'll almost be to the end of the spacer there in the threads. So we got it tightened all the way, spinning bolt. And then your head will be sticking out like that. And then you're centered right now, but we'll put the brakes on. Then we'll do the spinning method that I talked about, which negates all the binding. Check that out. Got nice rotor adapter, brand new rotor. There's our DT hub. Axle spacers. You know, the axle is just 3-piece there with the 2 spacers. This is a nice, clean setup that works very, very well. Unlike what we took off of here. So we're looking good. Now we got to get the brakes set up. We could pull that measurement. You remember we're at 25 3/4 inches. So get this straight. I'll pull off the same spot. Holy smokes. You know, if this isn't a big deal, I don't know what is. We're at 23.5. Wow. Wow. So we just brought it in 2 1/4 inches on our front end. Tell me that's not a big deal. We got all the controls back up here. We got to take this 18 caliper off, and we're going to bleed this 06 caliper. We got a really nice used Nissan OEM caliper because we don't want to run a Chinese one. When the new pads come in, we'll take it back off and put them on. They're at like 60% life right now though. But it fits that YZ rotor perfectly, so everything's going to work out. Let's get this bled and then we can set the front end. Alright, so now we're going to do the alignment part that we talked to. We just bled the brakes, no more bubbles up here, got good pressure, no more air down there. So we're going to spin this, slam the brake, spin it, slam the brake. Do that, you know, about 5 times. So now, probably can't video earlier, but moved a little bit right here, a little bit right there. So now the front end is perfectly aligned. Now we're going to remove that side, tighten it down, tighten the axle one last time, set the lugs, and we're done. On to plastics. Okay, so it is noticeably way less rake. I mean, we tucked the front axle in 2 1/4 inches, which is like substantial, like on another planet far away. So the first piece of the puzzle is done. Next, we will have to angle that swing arm down. First thing we'll do is we'll send the shock spring all the way down, see what kind of angle we get on here. Otherwise, we're going to have to chop that whole midsection out and move it. Is what we're going to have to do. So we still got a lot of work to do. You can see the front has already picked up quite a bit. So once we do the rear, then this thing's going to be sitting right. Then we're going to have to address that subframe and put the new exhaust on. You can see the subframe's way out of whack. Like, holy cow. But look at how far that front rose up already. That's amazing. Let's get the other KX in here and take a look. All right, we're like really close now. So if we angle the rear end down like that one, we're gonna be dialed. Then we gotta flatten the seat out. Look at that. It's like 8 inches high in the back. But that is a substantial difference. I can't even believe the difference that made. Well, I can, but you know what I mean. Anyways, this is gonna finish, so stay tuned for part 3.